My name is Margaret, I live near Pontefract, I'm from Leeds, and I am a dedicated flower arranger, I suppose. Well, we're just doing a bit of simple flower arranging today. Nothing really complicated, and something that's just going to use stuff you can get from the supermarket and the garden. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a nice simple arrangement using a bowl, shallow bowl. It could be a fruit bowl, a glass bowl, anything you like. We're using a simple supermarket bunch of flowers. That's this little lot here. And I've added a little bunch of gyp from the same supermarket, which was another £3, but it doesn't matter if you haven't got them. And then I've been in the garden and cut a bit out of the privet hedge. You've probably got a privet hedge that's overgrown somewhere. A little bit of ivy, variegated, because it makes it a bit more interesting. And some foliage from what is a cardoon, but it's also, you know, it's related to artichokes. If you can find something like this, fine, but it doesn't have to be this particularly. It could be anything that looks similar. And some white twigs. So the chicken wire is in here. You can get it from anywhere, hardware stores. It's just scrunched to support the stems. And we're going to do it in a sort of layered fashion, starting with the privet. So let me pull it out, I'm going to make a mess, I'm sure. Everything that's in this bucket has had a really good long soak, and I'm cutting everything on a diagonal so that it will take up as much water as it can. And also, if it should happen to go flat onto the bottom, it won't form a seal because there's a diagonal cut, and that'll allow the water to continue to go up the stem. Pull off any leaves that are going to be under the water line. Cut everything to loosely the same size. It's going all round in this instance, and an all-round arrangement might be the sort of thing you'd put on a hall table if you live in a stately home, which I'm sure you do. So you can see I've only used half a dozen pieces of privet, but that's sufficient to give me a bit of a start. And if you've got any little bits that you want to use up, pop them in as well. You don't necessarily have to throw away the cut ends. For the next layer, I'm going to use just those couple of little bits of variegated ivy. They're quite long, so I don't necessarily want them that long. But mine, although it's all round, might end up being slightly overflowing at the sides. So that means I can give a long piece to either side. If I can find the other bit. Just make it look a bit more dramatic when it's finished. Push it over that way. This, the lovely cardoon artichoke foliage. It's a lovely grey foliage with a nice arch. Again, I've stripped the leaf from down there so that I can push that in and make sure that I've got it nice and firmly into there so that it doesn't start moving around. Pull off more foliage, and that might be a little bit too long, just take a bit more off. Push that into that side. Now, what have we actually got in the flowers? What we've got is some spray chrysanthemums, and there are 3. They're toning white, as you can see, this sort of carmine colour, and the variegated one. Have a look at them and see if there's anything broken, because there often is, and snip them off because you don't really want to look at those ugly bits there. And then pull the leaves off again. Look how long you want it to be, and take that down in a 3. So 1, 2, and then the third one in there. This is a chrysanthemum as well, it's called Santini, and I'm going to be a bit clever with this. Instead of just cutting off the bottom, because you can see that the flower heads go down the stem a long way, I'm going to cut it there, halfway down through the flowers, which means that I can use 2 sections of flowers and push that side in there. Cut a bit off there. Actually, I might put that more central because it's short. Push that in there, and then I've got 2 stems out of 1. Now this little item, this blue, is an everlasting flower. So even though you've got it in and everything else will die around it, you'll find this one will carry on forever. So we're going to push him in there and push him in there. We've only got 1 hypericum, so that might be going in the middle. Take the leaves off the hypericum right up to the berries because they go very unpleasant as they start to die, and we really don't want to see them at all. So let's get them all off. I might cut that a little bit shorter so that I can pop it in the middle. In there. In there. Go on, stand up for me. It's obviously got a life of its own, that one. Make sure that you don't have any thorns on them, and take all the leaves off apart from that one, which will draw water up to the flower head. Then cut that, and you need to decide where you're going to put these. So we're going to have one there. Push that in. Take another rose. Pull off the leaves again. Push it in there. Take another rose, pull off the petals and push it in there. And then this is where the filler flower comes in. This is what this is. It's gyp, and it cuts down into lots of lovely little pieces, and it helps you to fill lots of spaces without spending a great deal of money. You can go in the garden and find things that will do a similar thing. In the summertime, if you've got something like feverfew, which is a pretty little daisy, it makes a great filler flower. The problem with it is it's a bit brittle, so it can break quite easily. Just pop that in there. Take that piece which is already broken off conveniently or inconveniently, and push that through there. And a little bit more, to bring it together. Now that hypericum's got lost, so the point, we're going to raise it up a bit, but when you put the water in, you need to make sure it's deep enough. Then we've got some nice little white, they're just birch twigs. Now they're white because they've been painted. They didn't grow like that. Again, you only need a couple of bits, and you can break it down. It just gives you another point of interest to finish off the arrangement, to make it look just that little bit more attractive. And if I put them in a sort of radiating circle, it'll just make it look a little bit posher. Well, there's a bit of a catkin on that one. A bit posher than it would if you just use flowers. Another piece to finish. Take off the brown bits. You can do this with garden flowers in the summer if you've got the right kind of thing in the garden. And of course, flower arranging, this is a very simple start. There are lots of other things that you can do.